sheathed in a black so deep it seems to go on forever. Inside the perfect counterpoint, a vibrant red. Lacquerware is a traditional Japanese craft in which vessels are coated with urushi, the sap of the lacquer tree. Here is a box for storing love letters. The surface is decorated with gold leaf and pearlescent shell, depicting the petals of a loquat flower. These lacquered items were made by the English artist Suzanne Ross. It's been 20 years since her first foray into lacquerware making in Japan. She's honed her skills in the world of artisans, governed by strict rules and traditions. Today, nestled in this natural setting, Ross blends traditional and contemporary ideas to create a new kind of lacquerware. Let's visit her world.
Is the ability to appreciate and contribute to Japanese culture the exclusive preserve of the Japanese? Some non-Japanese think not, and this program, Japanophiles, is about them. I'm Peter Barakan, and the Japanophile I'm going to introduce you to today is a lacquerware artist from England called Suzanne Ross, who lives in this forest here, just outside the provincial town of Wajima in Ishikawa Prefecture. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
Hi, I'm Peter Barakan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Please come in.
Thank you. Oh, this is your studio, is it?
Yes, it is. And this is a little gallery section.
Yes. Oh, this was in the video just now, wasn't it?
It's a different shape from normal because at a friend's house. Do you know kotsuzake?
No, I don't.
It's a river fish.
Oh.
That the Japanese catch and bake, and then they put it in and pour hot sake over it.
Oh, okay. I've seen something similar.
So
yes,
I made it in that shape, and a fish can lie in there.
Oh, okay.
I tried to imagine it when you had a fish in it and sake in it, that the gold would glitter as you poured it out.
Mm. Okay, but you pour the sake into little cups.
Yes.
Or maybe bigger cups.
Oh, you could just drink it. This is a lunchbox.
Can I open it up?
Yes, please do.
Oh, wow.
But it's for two. So my friend is married to a university professor, and every morning she makes him lunch. That I made it for two. So you'd put your chicken or your
vegetables or whatever.
Vegetables in there and your rice in there.
Yep.
And then you take the lid off, and then you could share it, the two of you.
Oh, I see. Or you could have soup in there as well.
Yes, you could.
But you'd have to carry the soup in something else, of course. But well, that's lovely as well.
But I thought for two. Picnic for two.
The lacquer tree has long been cultivated in Japan for the purpose of obtaining its sap. When the trunk is slashed, sap oozes out. This sap is the raw urushi, or lacquer. In order to close the gash, the sap hardens on contact with air. Each tree yields only a few grams of sap per day. Harvest is done by hand. It's a laborious process. Natural dyes, such as burnt pine, are mixed with the sap to produce coloured lacquer. A number of tasks must be performed before the actual application of coloured lacquer. The lip and foot of a bowl could chip easily, so these parts are reinforced with linen cloth. Lacquer and rice paste are used to attach the cloth to the wood. This is a traditional technique that has been used in Wajima for centuries. make the vessel even stronger, it's then given an undercoat, which is a mixture of lacquer, rice paste, and locally gathered diatomaceous earth. A wooden spatula is used to apply the undercoat. The spatula needs to be sharpened and whittled, and the angle of its tip minutely adjusted in accordance with the curvature of each part of the vessel. This way, the undercoat can be applied evenly to all areas, even to the joint between the bottom and sides of the vessel. Once the undercoat is dried, it's polished with a whetstone to give it a smooth surface. Later, another undercoat will be applied. The process is repeated numerous times. Sometimes, a single piece of lacquerware takes a whole year to complete.
Oh wow, so this is your little workplace.
This is where I do maquiller, and this is where I do the final coats of lacquering. It's as far as possible, a dust-free environment. And because it's small, I can control the humidity in here.
Okay.
Whereas the rest of the building has too high humidity. Okay. These are my brushes. They're made from women's hair.
Really?
Chinese women's hair. If you feel it, it's quite...
Oh, yes. It's kind of soft but firm.
Yeah, and this one is actually my daughter's hair. As you can see, blonde.
Right. But fairly firm.
Yes, but much, much softer than the Chinese.
Right, right. So which one are you going to work with today?
So I think we'll go with these two today.
All right.
And this is cinnabar. It's made from iron oxide, and it's one of my favorite pigments because it's so strong.
Okay.
So I've just finished the undercoats, and this is the first coat of just pure urushi. But I have to lacquer it very, very thinly because this is very fast drying urushi, and the first coat is mainly just to see the shape, to make sure that I've got the shape right.
Do you have any influence on the shape of it?
Yes, I do the technical drawing, but when I sand it, there might be somewhere that's sticking out or low, or somewhere I've missed. Everything in the final coat will show through because it's polished up to like a mirror. So every imperfection will show. So now I look for the imperfections. You see the scratches where I've sanded too hard. There's some underneath. There's some scratches there. So now, by doing this, I'm aware of them, whereas I wasn't aware of them before.
How will you rectify that?
By sanding it, lacquering it and sanding it again.
I see.
Over and over again.
I see. I noticed you use the word urushi rather than lacquer.
Yes, I don't want people to confuse Japanese traditional lacquer with synthetic lacquers.
Oh, I see.
So, as sushi is sushi, urushi is urushi.
Okay.
And lacquer is some synthetic thing that the chemical companies produce.
Is that what it is in the West now? It's invariably a chemical thing? I'd always thought that lacquer was a natural material. Perhaps I just been living in Japan too long.
There's all sorts of things that they call lacquer now, and I don't want it to be confused with anything else.
Okay.
Other than the tree sap used for Japanese lacquering.
Suzanne Ross first came across urushi while studying art in London. She was struck by the beauty of the lacquerware she saw in a museum exhibition, and she decided to go to Japan. In 1990, she moved to Wajima and started learning how to make lacquerware.
What was it an exhibition of?
The Great Japan Exhibition, it was called.
Okay.
I had no interest whatsoever, but I went because it was at the Royal Academy. When I went in the room, I saw this huge screen, golden screen, and next to it was a lacquered inkstone box, inkstone case. And the beauty of the shell and the gold shining in this deep, soft black. Okay. This isn't the books that I saw, but having this huge black surface that's like space, it's not a cold black, it's a warm black, and it's a fathomless depth of softness. I can't explain it.
Well, I think you just did very well.
So it's falling into that black softness, but then having gems or gold or a shell glinting like stars in the universe was enough to send me to Japan.
That one box?
Yes, that one box.
That's extremely dramatic.
Changed my life.
How long did it take you after seeing that to actually make the decision to come to Japan?
It took about 1 year. I looked for someone to teach me in London, but couldn't find anyone. So I decided that if I went to Japan for 3 months, I could easily master lacquer in 3 months. I mean, who couldn't?
Were you already an artist or an aspiring artist at the time?
Yes, I was. So I had full confidence in my painting abilities, and thought 3 months, if I didn't like it, 6 months at tops, and I'd be home again lacquering away.
I've heard that when you were first, was it here in Wajima, you went to a teacher to ask him to teach you, and you were refused.
Yes, I've been refused 3 times.
Why?
One, because I was a woman.
Really? They would only teach men?
Yes.
Huh.
The second time I was told that each step took 3 years to master, and there were over 300 steps, so I needed to live to be 300 before I could master it.
So this is really still right at the very beginning of your stay here?
I came every year and asked to be trained.
Oh, you were coming and going?
Yes.
I see.
And refused, and then come back the next year. I think the 3rd time they said my Japanese wasn't good enough. So the 4th time they finally introduced me to the school, to the institute.
Was it anything like what you would have expected, having been an art student in England?
No, it wasn't at all like that. For a start, nobody was a trained teacher. They're all craftsmen, master craftsmen, and very traditional master craftsmen.
Which in this country tends to mean they don't talk an awful lot.
Yes, they don't talk an awful lot, and it's a male-dominated world. So not only was I female, I was foreign. And in English tends to be quite a direct language. Japanese is an indirect language.
True.
So asking questions like why and why not went down like a lead balloon. And the higher the status of the teacher, the less questions you're supposed to ask. I actually did it the other way around. The higher the status of the teacher, the more questions I wanted to ask.
Of course.
But I had a few tears.
For 3 years, Ross studied the essentials of lacquering under the guidance of Kunie Komori. Komori is a master craftsman who is being designated by the government as a living national treasure. This is a woven bamboo basket for storing food. It's an irresistible mix of the natural texture of bamboo and the beautiful luster of lacquer.
やる気はすごくありましたね。で、彼女って3人いたのかな当時。で、彼女に引きずられて周りの子が成長していってるっていうことでしたね。技術的なことはまだまだ未熟だと思います。ただ本人は自分の未熟さっていうのは分かってますので、その未熟さをカバーする表現の仕方を自分なりの考え方でやってるっていうのがすごいなと思いますけどね。
Komori sensei always seemed to have just the right advice, just at the right moment. I couldn't tell him what was wrong with it. There was just something wrong with it, and